recording
Okay.
and say, welcome everyone, week 1 of 8 of the most exciting weeks you've ever had in your life. Okay, that was a bit of an oversell. Okay, just a little bit. All right, so as I was saying, ICD-10, you already know what that means from your diagnosis coding. Is there anyone here who has not taken any other coding class before? Could you give me a yes or a raise your hand?
No, this is my first time.
Huh?
This is my first time taking these courses.
This course, but have you taken ICD-10 CM or CPT coding?
I'm taking that one right now with this one.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that you're going to really have to learn time management and compartmentalization, because these are very different, not just code sets, but different mindsets, the way you're going to think about this. As Jennifer was just kind of telling a little bit, it's the way you think, but the other thing is that this code set, you don't just look for a code that matches. You are actually going to build the code. You're going to put the code together piece by piece. And I'm here with you. Not 24 hours a day, not 24 hours a day, but yes, 7 days a week, okay? So you need anything, don't get all frustrated. Don't get all craziness. Just email me, and within 24 hours, I will respond to you, and we will work it out, okay? So don't let yourself get too far to the edge of the cliff, all right? Okay, so you already know the ICD-10 part. It's International Classification of Diseases, 10th revision, yeah. Okay, PCS. And the PCS, as you see on the screen, can you all see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Good. PCS stands for Procedure Coding System, PCS. These codes are only used in hospitals, only to identify services and treatments performed to an inpatient. That's a patient who has been admitted into the hospital. Now, if any of you have ever been to a hospital, you know that most hospitals have an emergency room, and some of them have same-day surgery or outpatient surgery. Those two areas have nothing to do with procedure coding system, PCS. Only those patients that get a room upstairs, okay, that are admitted into the hospital. Does that make sense? Do you understand who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Thank you. Is Jamisha the smartest one in the class, or the only one who has her mic on?
I'll turn my
Okay,
mic
we'll
on.
go with smartest one. Okay, I'm fine with that. All right. So, see, you speak up, you get rewarded. It just helps because, you know, otherwise I'm talking to the dogs and they get bored because, trust me, they already know how to do this. All right, so I want you to remember we're focusing only on procedures, which is what was done for the patient. Why it was done has nothing to do with this, okay? What was done for the patient specifically, all right? If you all do not have a medical dictionary, I suggest you get one. Now, I prefer a paper dictionary, okay, because I like to be able to reach for it. Now, I have actually 3 medical dictionaries within arm's reach of my desk. This is one of them. You pick whatever is comfortable for you, whatever explains things to you in a way that you understand. That's what that's all about, okay? It has nothing to do with price. The more expensive the dictionary does not mean it's better for you. So you want to see if you can't look inside. See, I chose this dictionary because it has illustrations. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm a visual learner, and if I'm going to learn what something is or where it is, I like to see the picture. Okay, other people, you know, it's totally up to you. I also have this other dictionary, this one, and a lot of my students have purchased Merriam-Webster's Medical Dictionary. It's a paperback, and you can get it on Amazon for under $10. Okay.
What the name of it again?
Merriam-Webster Medical Dictionary.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
A lot of my students have that. It's a paperback, and it's small, so you can keep it handy, which is what I want you to do. Because as you're reading the medical records, I want you, if you don't understand a word, I don't want you to think, oh, I'll figure that out later, or maybe I don't need to know what it is. Don't do that. I want you to stop and look it up. And then you'll know what you're reading, so you can more accurately interpret it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions so far? And I love it when students ask questions. I truly do. All right. So let's go on to the next. You will notice that PCS has 7 characters to every single code. Okay. Now, if you started or you already learned about ICD-10-CM, the diagnosis codes, you know that that could have anywhere from 3 to 7 characters. All right. ICD-10-PCS, always 7. And if you come up with a code that's only 6 characters, you got to go back to the book and re-look at it because you're missing something. You always have to have 7. And they are alphanumeric, which just is a fancy schmancy way of saying letters and numbers are both used. Okay? Except for the letters O and I, because they purposely, isn't this amazing? When they created this code set, they said, well, O, the letter O and the letter I can easily be confused with a 0 and the number 1. So we won't use those 2 letters. Isn't that amazing that they actually thought that?
That's how you know a woman was involved.
Yes, ma'am. For once, they finally invited a woman. Oh, thank you. This is so much easier. Okay, so just remember that. And when I want you to remember that most is when you are typing in your answers, especially if the character right before that is a letter, you might have an inkling to use the letter O instead of a 0 or a 1, I mean an I instead of a 1. But you know what will happen if you do that? The computer will mark you wrong. And the computer will mark you wrong because it is wrong. Okay, I know it's very, it's so complicated. Only the highest level brains could understand this, right? It will mark you wrong only because it is wrong. Okay? All right. So we know that PCS is about procedures, what was done for the patient. We know that every code will have 7 characters every single time. And it'll be a combination of letters and numbers. And no letter O, no letter I, only 0 and 1. Okay? That sounds pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
You could do this. You could so do this. Right? Right, Jennifer?
I think so. No, I know so.
Better. Okay, so now we have the code book. Let me pull it out for you. Oh, this is my 2020. I believe you guys still have a 20, are getting, go. Did you get a 2020 or a 2021?
2020.
2020 like this? Okay.
Yes.
This is, where is it? Oh, yeah. This is the new one. Ooh, but it doesn't take effect until October. Okay, it doesn't matter. The key point for you guys here is to learn how to use this code set properly. Okay? All right, so you will notice that it has two sections. It has the alphabetic index, which are all the procedures in the whole entire world that a hospital could ever do on a patient, except anesthesia. And it's by the words in alphabetical order. Okay, that makes sense. By the words, you know. So we're talking about gastrectomy, which would be what? What is a gastrectomy?
Removal of the stomach.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
very good. Gastro is stomach, ectomy, surgical
Ectomy.
removal of. Okay, except we're gonna, yes, okay, that'll work. All right, and then the second half, wait, well, because I'm gonna show you in a minute. I get excited because this is exciting. Okay, the second half of the book is the table section, and it looks like this. Okay, and that's because, as I told you, you know, in ICD-10-CM, you open the book, it's listing of codes and their definitions, right? CPT, listing of codes and their definitions, but not in PCS. In PCS, you have a table and you are going to build the code. And don't worry, I'm right here with you. It's a little scary at first, but you know, we'll do it. And then you'll go, oh my gosh, I love this. Or you might not. All right, so unlike ICD-10-CM, you are not required to use the alphabetical index. So as you start to learn how to use this book, you can go directly to tables and work on building your code. And that will happen as you get used to the organization of the book, which is pretty straightforward, okay? But I suggest, I know that Ms. Johnson has done like tabbing of the book, okay? So you just get these little Post-it tabs. They look like this here. They look like this. These Post-it tabs, and you just mark the different sections of the book so you can get to them more quickly, okay? All right. Are we still good? Are your heads still intact?
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I
So
talking
far.
too fast?
No.
You're
No.
good.
Okay. All right. Because sometimes I do that. Okay. So the index is sorted by root operation term. Now, this is one of the many little speed bumps getting into PCS, is the language it uses is slightly different than the language used in CPT. But that's okay, because you are intelligent people, and everything is right in this book. You don't have to memorize anything. Isn't that great?
Yay.
Yay, yes, yay. Okay, so the root operation term, this is really funny because it is exactly what it says, but but it's new to you, right? So it sounds so mysterious. The root up. All it is it's the root, the main focus, the main purpose of the surgical procedure or whatever is being done for the patient. The root operation term is the verb, okay? The action word, the what actually was being done, just the what was done. Bypass, excision, insertion. Does that make sense to you? You see how this is just the verb. We're not concerned with a body part or an anatomical site at this point. We're not concerned with anything else. We're just concerned with what is the verb, what was being done. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you, Jamisha. See, you are the smartest. Okay. All right. And the alphabetic index, as I said, is sorted by that, but it also includes other terminologies. So you don't have to worry necessarily about, oh my gosh, figuring out what the root operation is. All right. In addition, in the front of your PCS book, there will be a page like this in the front, okay, that describes, it shows you the root operation term that they're using and then what it means, okay? So for example, bypass means altering the route of passage of the contents of a tubular body part. So somebody give me an example of a bypass operation.
A heart bypass?
Excellent example, okay? So the heart bypass is not really bypassing the heart, and the heart is not being bypassed. It's really a blood vessel, right?
Yeah.
It's really a blood vessel that has a blockage or a stenosis, a narrowing. So we got to go around that. So the blood vessel is the tubular part, because you know a blood vessel is like a tube, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's an artery or a vein. All right. So when it says altering the route of the passage of the contents of the tubular body part, right? So when there's a heart bypass, what are they doing? They are altering the route of that blood vessel with a graft or something, and we're going to go around the blockage and reconnect. So it's kind of like when you're on the interstate, you know, and they have a detour around the construction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you know that's a bypass, and that matches. So now you know what the root operation term of a bypass is. And it may be done on the heart, or it may be done on another body part. But the bypass is the root operation point. We'll get to the body parts later, okay? Excision is one word you're gonna have to kind of change in your head a little bit, okay? Because incision, what does the word incision mean to you?
Insert.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, I did say incision. I apologize. My brain and my mouth were not connecting. Somebody did a bypass. Okay. Excision.
It's to remove.
Yeah, cutting
what?
something out.
To remove.
To cut out, right? Yes, to remove, to cut, but to cut it out, okay, right? All right. Here's your first little speed bump in PCS, but you guys can do it because remember, it's all written in the book, all right?
Okay.
All right. Excision in PCS means to cut into and take out, but only a part of the organ, not the whole thing. So we now have a different root operation for excision, like doing a biopsy, right? A biopsy would be to cut out, but just some tissue. You're not removing the whole organ, right?
Right.
Right.
And then we have resection, which we use to say we cut out the whole entire organ. Okay? Don't worry, we're only in week 1.
I was gonna say,
Okay?
that one's gonna take a few minutes to.
Yes, it will. Yes, it
to take
will.
hold, yeah.
So here's the reason why I included this, is because I want you to remember it is not cheating to look in your code book
Okay.
and make sure you in your head have the right definition of the root operation.
Okay.
Okay? It's not cheating, it's being smart. It's using your resources just like using your medical dictionary. Okay?
Okay.
And if you do that and you start off checking, double checking in the code book, making sure you have the right meaning for the word to match the documentation, then soon you will get to the point where you won't have to look it up anymore. Okay? Because once you look up excision and resection 25 times, by the 26th time, it's in your brain and you know what you're doing, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. So that's the point, the number 1 point that I want you to remember. You're having trouble with your audio. Maybe if you log off and log back on, Kenyetta? I don't know, sometimes that works. Okay. But this is also something else I want to tell you. In the back of your code book are these appendices. And the appendices are tables that have all the root operation terms, all of the approaches, everything like that, with not only the definitions again, but examples, which sometimes I need. Sometimes I use the example to, thank you, Jennifer.
No problem.
Because you're right. If she can't hear me, then how is she
And-
going to hear me? Tell
Yeah,
her.
and
right.
everybody know I just meant for that to go to Kenyetta. I didn't mean for it to go to everybody. So
That's
don't anybody
okay.
else know.
All right. So these tables provide you not only with the definitions of these terms or body parts or whatever it might be, but they also give you examples so you can put 2 and 2 together. And then remember, whenever you have a question mark come up on the big screen in your brain, I want you to email me and I will help you replace that question mark with an accurate answer. And I'll help you. I have 14 million analogies and examples, right, Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am.
I may have even added a few lately. I haven't done an accurate count, so I don't want you to hold my feet to the fire over that. Okay, so the point is that this book, the code book, the ICD-10 PCS code book, has every explanation, everything you need to know. You do not have to memorize anything, but have your dictionary there for the fill-in words, okay? And this will help you understand what you're reading. And when you understand what you're reading in the documentation, and you can understand what you're reading in the code book, it'll be a piece of cake to put the 2 things together, right?
Is there a certain medical dictionary that's good to have?
It's really up to you. I would say if it wasn't for COVID, I would say the best thing to do is go to a physical bookstore and read through a couple. But I think you can read through a couple of pages on Amazon
Okay.
and just just read a couple of definitions and see if you understand what they're talking about, okay? And I don't say that in any way to you. I have this Stedman's Medical Dictionary, okay? It is the highest, most respected medical dictionary ever. It was $50,
'Cause I
okay?
know, Ms. Johnson posted a link for one and then one that was supposed to be online. The online one doesn't work, but the other one is that Stedman, and it's like several of them, but I didn't know which one to look at.
Okay, I suggest the Merriam-Webster Medical, here, I'll write it in the chat box, okay?
Okay.
Took medical terminology last semester, and that's the one that I got right there that they referred me to.
Is that Tabor's? Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like $50, I think, from the school library.
Okay, I think I spelled Miriam wrong here on the chat box. But it's Merriam-Webster Medical Dictionary. Amazon.com has it for less than $10.
And
It's like,
It's $7.26.
see,
Oh,
that's
wow.
less than $10. And if you have
Right.
Prime, it's
Free
$7.
shipping.
That's it. Okay. It's a wonderful dictionary. A lot of my students have used it.
Uh-huh.
Let me finish telling you about my Stedmans. And I personally have also had the same little issues with Tabor's, okay? Which is I find the word, I read the definition, and I have no idea what the heck it's saying. And then I have to go get another medical dictionary to look up all the words in the definition so I could understand what the definition means. Okay? So that's why I said, you have to find the one that works best for you, okay? And you can shop around. I suggest, whenever I'm looking for a new book, I always go to Amazon.com and put it in the search bar, and then just review all the changes, even if you want to buy it somewhere else. I mean, I don't work for Amazon. I don't get any money from them. But this one was a little more, I want to say it was like $25. And the only difference with this is all the illustrations. Okay? So if you're a visual person, this might be better for you, even though it's a little more money. Now, who was it that held up the Tabor's? I didn't see. Who was it that held up the Tabor's dictionary? The one you got in medical terminology class?
It was me, Caitlin.
Oh, Caitlin. Okay. So, Caitlin, are you comfortable with using that dictionary? Do you like it?
I am, because in some of the questions, like when I had to break the words down, I would look up certain parts, and so I would have to flip through. It's a lot of stuff, but I kind of got used to it once I started flipping through it and really looking for certain words.
Okay, that's fine. And that's why I said, I don't care what brand you buy. The most important thing is not how much money it costs. The important thing is, do you understand what it is explaining to you?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look up a word and you don't understand the definition, then it's not helping you. It doesn't matter whether it was $1 or $100. It's not helping you. The point is, it needs to help you understand. Okay?
Okay.
All right. But I will tell you, the Merriam-Webster Medical Dictionary for $7 and change. I've had a lot of students get that from Amazon and have been very happy with it. But like I said, it's you. Every one of us is different.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Okay. So you got to do what's comfortable for you so that you learn. That's what I'm interested in. Okay?
Okay.
All right. And if you want, you go on Amazon. If you can't decide between this one or that one, email them to me. I'll take a look. I'll give you my opinion.
Okay.
Okay. So, it's just that you know you best.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm assuming.
I try.
It's a work in progress, isn't it? I know it is for me.
It really is.
Yeah, I know that. It doesn't get any easier the older you get either. I don't know. All right. Are we good? Okay.
I
So,
have a quick question.
yes, ma'am.
This is Nikita. I came on a little late. Are you gonna go over like a question I have on the chapter review? I just have one question. It's dealing with the root.
Go ahead. Go ahead and ask it.
Okay, it's the first one, you coded application,
Okay, hang on.
and it's on page 972 is the beginning of it.
Can you believe this book is so big? Okay. 972.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Alicia Wellington.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what's your question?
Okay, I read through everything dealing with Alicia, and then it says that, where's my back piece at? Okay, hold on. Let's see what I want to do with the other. Here we go. I read through the procedure, and it asks what is or are the root operation terms.
Right.
Dr. Johnson, he did what's that, cystoscope. And he removed and replaced a J stent, but when I read through the whole thing, he did a fluoroscope also.
Okay.
So I was trying to figure out which one was, because I looked under replacement under the alphabet one.
Uh-huh.
To find. Then it was so much under that. It's not a removal because even though they removed the old stent, they put a new one in. So removal wouldn't be the surgery.
Let's look in the PCS book and see what PCS says. Okay. So the word removal is taking out or off a device from a body part. Okay. So a device was taken out?
Yes, ma'am.
The double J stent. Okay. Replacement is putting in or on biological or synthetic material that physically takes the place and or function of all or a part of a body part. Man, these people sure know how to say things in the worst possible way, don't they? If they would have invited me, I would have helped them make it easier. Okay, so replacement reads replacement. Removal means removal.
Yes.
And what was the other word that you said?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's a fluoroscope? Fluoroscopy.
Yes. Okay. So a fluoroscopy. What is a fluoroscopy? What department in the hospital is a fluoroscopy done in?
That has to do with it's like a scope.
Yes. Imaging.
Yes.
Yes. It's a way for the doctor to see inside the body without actually going inside the body.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So could a fluoroscopy be a root operation term, or would that really be an imaging device?
That would be more like an imaging device.
It is, right? It's a scope. It's equipment.
Yes.
Okay. So do we have in the imaging, let me just look. I want to just look and see in imaging, fluoroscopy is a root operation term on the imaging.
Are you in the appendix?
I'm not. I'm in the imaging chapter in the tables of PCS.
Okay, I'm trying to learn this.
I understand. Well, you've been in this class for 3 days already. What have you been doing?
Oh gosh, doing work. Trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out because I know that Ms. Johnson said to tab our stuff, but I'm trying to figure out exactly how to tab it.
Okay, you want me to tell you that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's answer your question first, and then we'll talk about tabbing.
Okay, I'm trying to find where you're at.
Okay, I'm in toward the back of the book. The edge of the page is gray, and it says imaging.
Okay, is that like?
And then there are codes that start with the letter B, like in
Okay.
boy.
Okay, I'm with you now. I'm with you. Okay, I'm in imaging.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you look at, let's
Okay.
see.
I found the fluoroscope.
Okay, so you see that it's listed as a root operation term.
Yes, ma'am.
So we know that it's a root operation term, but it's only a root operation term in the imaging section, whereas replacement and removal are root operation terms in the surgical section.
Yes,
So you
ma'am.
need to look exactly how the procedure was done
Okay.
and figure out, and there's no law against reporting from two different sections of the book. So for example, choice C as in cat, replacement and fluoroscopy is very possible. Okay, all of these are possible answers.
See, I chose that, but then when I looked, I went back and I read it again, and they removed the old one.
They removed the old one and replaced it with a new one.
Yes.
Are they identical? Did they remove a J wire, a J stent, and insert a J stent?
Yes.
So then replacement takes care of removal and replacement.
Okay. Okay.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Good. And remember, this is not something you can learn like that, okay? It's complicated, and mostly because you're doing something new that is based in another language. Okay, raise your hand if your first language is medical terminology. Because nobody's raising their hand.
No, ma'am.
So whether it's English or Spanish or French, it doesn't matter. Nobody on this planet was brought up speaking medical terminology. So you're in a foreign language, and then you got to move these words around like a puzzle piece, right?
Yes,
To
ma'am.
figure it out. So give yourself time and ask me lots of questions. Jennifer, do I like it when students ask lots of questions?
Oh, you love it.
I really do. I really do.
And I always feel like I'm asking a stupid question, and she always tells me it's the best question.
It is, because the only stupid question is the one that stays in your head and never gets asked. Because how are you going to learn if you don't ask the question?
Exactly.
Right?
Because I thought I was doing it wrong. I read it again, then I went back.
See?
And I put in the book, and then when I saw that it could be a root word, and then I said, well, dang, I said, it's not, am I just doing med surgical? Am I doing imaging? It don't say, but it just say what is and what are the root terms. So it could be more than one is when I was looking at it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So let me ask you something. Nikita, have you taken CPT coding yet?
CPT, no ma'am.
Okay.
What happened is, some years ago, I took the medical coding program here at Central.
Mm-hmm.
Life happened.
Oh, yes, it does.
I didn't take my boards. When I did it, it was ICD-9.
Oh.
Yeah.
Prior to 2015.
Yes. So when I got my master's in healthcare informatics. Went into the doctoral program. It really wasn't what I wanted, but I stayed longer than I should have when I really wanted to go back into the coding. Mm-hmm. And I spoke to Ms. Johnson, and I got one of the last couple of slots. So I don't have to take the HIM, the 103, and I forgot the other one. I don't have to take those.
Okay.
So my first two classes is 216 and 225.
Cool.
I don't have to take the terminology and all that. So
Yeah, you already know it.
it's rusty, but
And that's where the dictionary comes in.
yeah, I have an old tabard. I have one of those,
Mm-hmm.
but the writing is tiny. And
You know what's amazing? You take a printed book,
yeah,
you get 5 years older, and the writing actually gets smaller. Isn't that amazing?
I'm telling you, it look like the writing is smaller.
Right? It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Yes. Well, I'm glad you made it in with us, and just give yourself a few minutes here at the beginning, and then it's kind of like playing the piano. Okay. Once you learn where to put your fingers and which are the notes, then after that, it's just practice to get better. And it's the same thing with coding. Once you learn how to interpret the words and interpret them into the codes using the code book, then the rest of it is just practice.
Okay.
Okay. So these first couple of weeks especially, you hang tight with me, okay?
I will.
Okay, good. All right, so root operation term. After the root operation term, and we're still in the index, then you're going to find the body system that was involved in the procedure.
Okay.
So if we go back to our heart bypass that we talked about, what body system would that be?
Cardiac.
Cardiovascular. Good. And what about the gastrectomy? What body system is that?
Digestive.
Very
Digestive,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Right. So these things, and once you get into the groove again, if you have your anatomy and physiology book from whenever you took that class, it's okay. They have not redesigned the body in quite a while. So even if your book is old, it'll still help you. The medical dictionary will help you. Okay. And most importantly, your code book will help you. Okay. All right. Then so you see, we start with the root operation term. We're doing a bypass. Okay. And then we go into body system. Well, which body system are we going to work in our bypass? And then we go into the specific anatomical site. This is in the way the index is set up. But in addition to that, you can also look up specific procedural terms such as hysterectomy, which is what, ladies?
Removing the uterus.
Removal of the uterus.
Very good. And what body system is that?
Female. The female sex organs.
That's very good. You know why? Boys don't have that.
No.
Right. Girls don't have penises and boys don't have uteruses. That's just the way it is. Okay. You know why? That's because uteruses only come in pink and penises only come in blue. Well, you don't want a blue penis. That's a whole nother problem. But we're not doing diagnosis coding now. So we'll just skip right over that. Okay. All right. Now the table section. This is the main portion of the code book. And as I said, you're going to find the tables where you can then go from the top and then across a row to build the code according to what the documentation said. Okay? So the table section is in order. I didn't forget about the tabbing. We'll do that in a few minutes, okay? The table section is in order It starts with numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the letter B as in boy through J as in jackass. Okay? All right. Now you may say to me, Dr. Safian, I remember you said we don't use the letter O and we don't use the letter I, but you didn't say anything about not using the letter A. And you are correct, I did not, but still they decided to skip it. I cannot explain why, because they didn't invite me to the meeting. But you can be assured if I had been invited to the meeting, this would be a lot easier. Okay. All right. And again, keep going over it, repetition. So you get to a table. Can you all see this okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The first line in the table is the section number. And that's 0 for med and surge. Okay. Or it becomes a 1 for obstetrics. And then you get to the letter B for imaging, okay? So each of them are like that, all right? And that's going to be determined by, again, your knowledge of what was done for the patient. And just like the great example that Nikita gave us, we have, okay, there was medical surgical going on here with the replacement of the J stent, but we also had imaging done with the fluoroscopy. So yes, you can absolutely be coding from different sections for the same encounter, for the same procedure, okay? All right, the next we have the body system, and that's gonna be the general body system. And then we have the root operation term. Now, good news is every table not only has the root operation term, it provides you again with the definition of that term. So you can double check your thinking right here in the tables. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So now you have the first 3 characters of your code. 0, D as in dog, D as in dog. Okay? You with me, everybody?
Yes.
Great. All right. Now remember, every PCS code must have 7 characters. So we have the first 3, we need 4 more. So the 5th character and the 6th, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th are all gonna come on the same row across the table as determined by your first choice, which will be the body part. Okay?
Okay.
So as you can see, they're all going to be describing the body parts in that particular part of the body in different ways. Here we have the esophagus is divided into 3 sections, the upper, the middle, and the lower esophagus. Now remember, you always get to keep your documentation right there. So if you get into the table and you went, okay, this is an extraction, a kid swallowed a quarter and the doctor had to extract the quarter, a foreign body, from the kid's esophagus, okay, you figure that's good, all right? So we get medical surgical, gastrointestinal, extraction, we're all good there. But now you see, well, where was the quarter, upper, middle, or lower? You go back to the documentation and confirm how far did that quarter get. Okay, so I want you to remember that as well, is the documentation of the case study and your code book side by side, so you can feel comfortable in going back to double check, going back, picking out, going back, okay? Back and forth, that's how I do it. That's how Ms. Johnson does it. Okay. The 5th character is going to be the approach. And what that means is, how did the doctor get from outside the body into wherever the doctor was going to go? Now, in this case, the doctor is going after that quarter in the patient's esophagus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So percutaneous, what does that mean?
Through the skin.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Percutaneous endoscopic. Give me an example of percutaneous endoscopic.
Cholecystectomy would be percutaneous and endoscopic, right? Because they put the scope just through the stomach or through the skin.
A what
Right.
sectomy?
Gallbladder surgery.
Oh, that's a, I don't know what you said, but it's
cholecystectomy.
cholecystic. Oh, right. Yes, a laparoscopic
There
procedure.
you go.
Yes, good job. Okay, an endoscopic procedure is percutaneous endoscopic. They cut a little slit and they put the endoscope through the little slit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have both. You get to see, but you're only making a little slit. Okay, and then via natural or artificial opening endoscopic. So natural openings, we have the nasal nares, okay, the openings of your nose. You have your mouth. You have your urethra and your anus. And women have a vagina. At least they're supposed to. Okay? So those are all natural openings, which means it gives the physician access to internal portions of the body without having to cut anything. Okay? An artificial opening would be, say, a patient had a stoma. Okay, do you all know what that is?
That is like the opening for a colostomy or a trach.
Yes, very good. It's where they drill a hole so that they can get direct access and they leave it open. So a tracheotomy, you know, when you see on television where, you know, the guy takes the part of a pen and sticks it in the guy's neck so he can breathe, it's done better than that in the hospital, though. At least they're supposed to. Okay. Okay. And then, yes, a stoma, if a patient has a colectomy, removal of the colon, they may put in a stoma either permanently or temporarily. And that's when they put a little thing in and the patient kind of directly poops into a little bag on their side. Okay. So, this doctor now is going to pull out a quarter from this child's esophagus. What would be, and the notes say that the doctor put the scope down the little boy's mouth. Okay, so what would that be? What's the approach? How did he get to the quarter?
Via natural opening.
Excellent. Via natural opening endoscopic.
Yeah.
He put the scope down a natural opening, the mouth, right down into the esophagus, which makes the most sense because that he doesn't know exactly where the quarter is, so he wants to get to it, right? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
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 Okay, anybody want to do this procedure a different way? No. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's good. You all passed medical school.
No, but I do have a question while you're asking that.
Please do.
Is there, okay, if you come across a situation where you get to approach and you don't see your answer there, you have messed up somewhere in the first 4 letters, right?
Yes.
Good question.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I don't see my answer, I
Well,
need
wait
to
a
start
second. I have a 2-part answer.
Okay.
First, of course, because God forbid everything should be simple, right? Okay, wait, let me find a good example. Here, this is a good example. Okay, can you see this table? Or if you have your PCS book, it's table O, T as in Tom, P as in Peter. It's the urinary system removal. Okay?
Okay.
If you all could turn to that, or I can hold this up to my camera, which I'm sure is not the best way to look at it.
I'm
But,
on page 525.
well, my book
Yep.
is 617, so yeah,
617.
probably.
Okay.
You
Okay.
said O
Yes.
T P.
0, T as in Tom, P as in Peter. Medical and surgical, urinary system removal.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So Jennifer said if we get to approach the 5th character, and this answer is for any character, okay? But if we get to the 5th, the approach, and there's nothing there that matches what the documentation says, that tells you you're in the wrong place. The first place you need to look is further down on the table, because a different row may have the same body part but different approaches. And if you take a look at this table, 0, T as in Tom, P as in Peter, and we look at kidney, you'll see both the first and the second row have kidney as a choice, right?
Yes.
But if we go to approach, now all of a sudden the story changes. Because on the first row, we have open approach, percutaneous endoscopic, via natural or artificial opening, and via natural or artificial opening endoscopic, but no external. And then on the second row, you have external only and none of the others. So that's the first thing you're going to do, is look down the same table at a different row to see if that has what matches your documentation. Okay? And then if you still can't find, then I would go back and revisit your root operation term. Maybe it's something else. Okay?
Okay.
But that's the thing about the rows on the same table, is each row, once you pick a body part, you have to stay on your row directly across. And if you get to something that doesn't match, then you got to look at a different row to see if that gives you what you're looking for. You'll notice in this same table that under device, which is character number 6, the listing has some things that are the same for the first row and the second row, other things that are not on the second row but are on the first row.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that's the first place to look. Okay? Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
I love that when it makes a lot of sense. That's so good. Okay. Now, because you are building your code one character at a time, you may get to a situation where one of the columns it's not relevant to this particular thing, okay? There's no device that the doctor is going to use and leave in the patient to take the quarter out of the kid's esophagus.
Okay.
So no device. The only time you look to code a device is when the device, whatever they're putting in, the J stent, or it could be a stent in the heart, or a graft, well, whatever, okay, whatever it is, if it stays in the patient after they close up and go home. Okay?
Okay.
That's the only time that you will report a device.
Okay.
Okay?
Now let me ask another question while you're saying
Please.
that. And while we're on that page where it's got the double kidneys and double ureters and all that.
Well, you do have 2 kidneys. Go ahead.
Well, but it's two options.
Yes.
It does not have no device under that first kidney. So if there is no Z code for that, then you should have had a device for that procedure.
Yes, and in that case, I would go back to your root operation, because removal can only be the removal of a device. So if you're not removing a device, and there is no,
there wouldn't be no device.
It wouldn't be, right, because you can't use removal, which is why, if you notice, our little boy who swallowed the quarter, we're not removing the quarter, we're extracting the quarter.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't catch that part.
It's okay. No.
The removal didn't even occur to me. I'm like looking at it going, I don't see a Z code anywhere.
But that's why it's such an excellent question. Because, I can't possibly cover all of the possibilities, okay?
Right.
Which is why it's great when you guys ask questions, okay? And also, remember, I've been doing this for a long time, but even so, you may look at something and interpret it in a different way, because even though it's medical terminology, which is a combination of Latin, Greek, French, Spanish, English, and a little bit of who knows what, the fact remains is that there are English words in here. And sometimes there can be a medical term that is used differently in medical terminology, but yet it's an English word. Okay, so, all right. Okay, are we good now? Any more questions? I love questions.
I'm good.
That's it for now. Okay. All right. Now the qualifier, which is your 7th character, is for a whole, that's kind of like your miscellaneous, throw everything in the pot kind of column. Okay. So in this case, it's asking you, actually, it's telling you that the only way an extraction can be performed in any one of these body parts is for the purpose of a diagnosis. The extraction would not be used for a therapeutic purpose. Therapeutic is to repair or fix. Diagnostic is to see what's going on, like to take a biopsy or to investigate in order to come up with a more accurate diagnosis. Okay? So a diagnostic test or procedure is done for the purposes of accurately diagnosing the patient. It's not part of the treatment plan. It's part of the process of determining the diagnosis, because only once you have confirmed a diagnosis can you then create a treatment plan. Okay? And remember, that's a lot of the reasons why people are admitted into a hospital. I mean, yes, they're admitted into a hospital to have things fixed, but also sometimes they're admitted into the hospital to do further, more investigative testing. Okay, so you can see. Now, if you look at our table, our removal of a urinary device, you'll notice that in this whole table, you have Z as no qualifier. Okay. Now you might say, well, why did they bother? Why didn't they just make these a 6-character code? And that's because the Z code is what's known as a placeholder. And it's providing the room for this code set to grow each year so that we don't have to do a whole new code set. We just keep adding into things as they innovate and as they come up with new ideas and new ways to make people healthy. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, so as I said, you're building each of the 7 characters, and keep your PCS book open so we can follow along. And I also have a practice code for you for each character to just show you how you're doing this, which we kind of just went over. So I'm going to do this pretty quick. Okay, is the first character identifies the section of the book. So like I said, med surg is 0. Obstetric starts with a 1. Imaging starts with the letter B as in boy. And there's lots more. You also have a listing of all of the different sections and their identifier in the very front of your PCS book. Okay? Okay. All right. And then each section shows a grid which specifies the meaning of each character of the code. Okay, so once you get to the beginning of the med surg section, you will see it's telling you the meaning of each of the characters that will create the 7 character code. The first character says the section of the book, the second character, the body system, the third character, the root operation term, the fourth character, the specific body part, the fifth character, the approach, how did the doctor get there, the sixth character, was there a device involved that's going to stay in the patient, and the seventh character, which could be whatever else they need to add. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Question?
No.
Okay. In comparison with the measurement and monitoring section of the book, we have our 7 characters. The first character always means the section of the book, but the second character does not mean body system. The second character means physiological system. The third character means root operation. The fourth character means body system, not body part. The fifth character does still mean approach. The sixth character may mean function or device. And then we have our qualifier in the 7th position. I feel like I'm getting ready to call a horse race. Okay. And coming up on the rails in the imaging section, we have character 1, the section of the book, character 2, body system, 3, root type, because that's going to not be an operation, a verb. It's going to be what type of imaging. Is it an X-ray? Is it an MRI? Is it a CT scan? Is it fluoroscopy? Is it a PET scan? What type? Okay. 4, body part. 5, was contrast used or not? 6 and 7 are both qualifiers. And that will depend, of course, on what else is happening. Okay. All right. And the placeholder, as I mentioned before, the letter Z means right now we don't have anything to go in that spot. But you never know, because this is ever growing. As a matter of fact, between 2020 and 2021, I think I saw they added 500 more codes to the PCS book. You don't care about that though, because if you know how to build one code, you know how to build all codes. You may have to learn a new term or something, but remember, all they're doing is innovating new ways to use the same procedure on different body parts and things like that. Okay, and I'll give you an example. When PCS first came out in October 2015, the 2016 code set, there was a root operation term called create, and it was used exclusively for male to female or female to male sex transition, to create either the penis or create the vagina, okay? But I want to say maybe 2 years ago, they changed the meaning of the root operation term create, because the researchers and whoever does this figured out a way to create a heart valve okay? Which is very important. There are a lot of people walking around with faulty heart valves, and that's very, very dangerous, okay? So now they can create a heart valve. So they had to expand the definition of the root operation term to match all the new stuff that they're doing, okay? So that's all. So it's nothing to worry about. All right. What questions? I know your minds are probably swimming. I just wanted to kind of set you up for understanding the book, okay? And this has everything in it that you need to know. I really do recommend, oh, Jennifer, this is what I meant by the white book. Is this the book you have?
Ours is orange.
Orange.
Yeah. Ours
Mine-
orange.
Yeah, mine still looks a little bit different than that. But I
Okay.
can't remember, because I got a blue one and a white one, but I can't remember what order we got them in.
Okay, the
Because
blue
one
one
was fall
is
and
the
one was
first,
spring.
the blue one is the first edition.
Okay.
This one is the second edition.
Okay.
Okay. So this one is newer. White is newer than blue.
Okay.
I don't remember where orange is. I'm sorry.
Please.
Hey, I wrote the book, okay? Me and Ms. Johnson wrote the book. It took us
It's right
4
here.
years.
It's
4
that one
years.
right there.
There you
Yeah,
go.
mine's
Okay.
orange too.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. I'll tell you, Ms. Johnson and I, we had the best time writing this book. Really. Okay.
I have
All
a
right.
question.
What?
Where you have the different, what the different sections are, like the different characters, what they mean.
Uh-huh.
Are you gonna post that so that we can get it?
You have it right in your PCS book.
I'm trying to. I am lost. I'm trying to find. You talking about?
Okay, okay. I'll tell you what. It's okay. I will scan it and I will post it in announcements tomorrow.
Okay, now where can I find it? Are you saying like when I look in the, like if I turn to the first part, the first table was med surge?
No, don't go. Oh, okay. Yes. Turn to the first page of MedSurge. Okay. Do you see this?
Yes, it said central nervous system.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then it says character meanings. And then you got your 7, 1. Oh no, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait a minute. Oh, that's because, okay. So you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have and they're on at the top of every single table. Is that what you mean?
Yes, because when like on the thing it says on that little thing you said med surge. So when we look at the first page, it says the 0 for medical and surgical. Then it has a 0 for central nervous.
Yes.
And then 1 is bypass. So
yes.
So basically the second one, I just have to remember that is the body system.
No, you don't have to remember because it's at the top of every single table. If you turn 2 pages till you see this.
What is that? What does it? I can't
see. It says medical, surgical, central nervous system and cranial nerves, bypass. That's the first 3 characters. And then below that, you have a table with 3 rows for your 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th character.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
And it'll keep repeating that on the top of every single table. So you don't have to remember anything.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right. All right. And you let me know. And if you want, I can scan any one of this and send it to you or post it to you, whatever you want. Okay? Whatever's going to help you. Okay. But it's all right here. If you start at the very beginning of the book,
Yes,
I don't know
ma'am.
if you can see this. Okay. And you go what's new for 2020?
Yes, ma'am.
And then introduction. And then right here it says introduction sections, and it tells you the number or the letter for each of the sections and what the names are.
Now hold it up again?
Okay. It's okay.
You have a
In-
different
in-
you have a different book, Dr. Sabian. We got
That what it
AAPC
is.
here from
Yeah, because I'm about to say I
Yeah.
don't
You
not
don't
see
have
that.
this?
yeah, we got
Uh-uh.
the AAPC version from our
Okay.
bookstore.
Yeah, Ms. Johnson is okay. Oh, wait a minute. She sent me the AAPC version for the new one, so that should still be the same. Okay, so so now I should be able to at least tell you. Let's see. Guidelines. Oh, we wanted to talk. Do you want to talk real quick about tabbing?
Yes.
Okay. So the first tab that I put is I don't want you to do that. You don't care about the changes. Okay. The first tab is the guidelines. Now, this is on page 7. I don't know. You should be pretty close to it.
You got the right book. That's the book we got.
Okay, good. All right. So that's the first tab.
Okay.
The second tab I put on the first page of the index. That's the alphabetic index.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the
first page of the index, right?
First page of the index.
so that's page 55.
Yes. Okay, the next tab is the first page of the tables, which is page 173.
Okay.
Oh, usually I put a tab, I don't know where I didn't. I put a tab at obstetrics because it's the first section after the end of med surge. So that would be page 593.
593.
93.
593, the first page of obstetrics.
Oh.
Five nine one is the first page of
Okay. All right, that's fine. You got it. Then I put a tab on the first page of imaging, which is the letter B as in boy. Now, in my book, it's 645, but it might be 646 or
643.
okay. And then the last tab I put is the first page of the appendix, Appendix A, root operation definitions, and that's on my page 771. So you should be close to that, maybe 770 or something.
769.
There you go. Okay. And just remember, not only are you getting an education and feeding your head with knowledge, with these code books, you're building the muscles in your arms. And we don't charge you any extra for that, huh? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. All right. I hope you feel a little better about this adventure you're about to go on.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good. Yeah? Okay, good. All right. And please just remember, work smarter, not harder. What does that mean? Working smarter is using your medical dictionary. Working smarter is really getting to know your PCS book and all the information that it has, because it will tell you what to do. You don't have to remember. And working smarter is emailing Dr. Safian when you're not sure, when you think maybe, when you need a clarification, or when you just have no clue, whatever you need. We can email back and forth. I can set up a phone conference. We can set up a Zoom, just you and me, okay? Whatever helps you. That's what I want, okay?
Yeah.
You can do this.
Thank you. Motivation.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right. Are you ready? Have a good evening. I will post this recording tomorrow in the announcements. Watch your announcements. That's my #1 way to communicate with you. For me to everybody, you of course email me if you have any questions, and I'm there for you.
I have
Okay.
a question. Are you gonna do this every Wednesday?
Will you show up every Wednesday?
I work at the hospital. I work every other Wednesday.
Okay. Well, then the middle Wednesdays, you can listen to the recording and ask me for help. But yes, my plan is to do this every Wednesday.
Okay.
Unless you all have, is there a preference you want me to do it? I can do it Tuesday night. I could do it Thursday night.
I'm off every Tuesday, but I don't know how everybody else's schedule is.
Okay.
Well, I work from 9 to 5, so.
So you're
anytime
good.
after. Mhm.
Okay.
I'm fine. It doesn't matter to me.
Tuesday is good for you, Jennifer? Yeah.
Good for me.
Kenyetta?
Yes, ma'am.
Tuesday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Nikita already said Jamisha? Sorry.
Yeah, I say any day. That's fine with me.
You're good for Tuesday? Okay. So
Yeah.
starting next Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Do you want me to do it a little later? 6:15, 6:30?
6 works for
6
me.
good.
6
Mhm.
is good.
Works good
Good.
for me.
I like that. Okay. 6 o'clock next Tuesday. Be here or be square. I know that doesn't rhyme, but it's the closest I could get. All right, ladies, have a wonderful evening and keep doing what you're doing. You're great. Okay. I'll see you next
Okay.
week. I'll see you in email or whatever.
All right.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye. You're welcome. My pleasure.
Quick question before you
Yes.
get off. I was doing, I had accidentally skipped to the next chapter's review or whatever, and I got stuck on a question. It says Vicky Turner, a 24-year-old female, has a history of uncontrolled motor movements and some uncontrolled eye movement. Vicky is admitted to the hospital where Dr. Allen performs a mapping of Vicky's basal ganglia signals, percutaneous approach. I can't figure out what I'm supposed, like, where I'm supposed to look in the beginning to figure out where I'm supposed to go at the back of the book. Like,
Okay.
what is it under?
Mapping.
Mapping?
Mapping is your, yes.
Okay.
Mapping is your verb, and that's the procedure that they did.
Okay, I couldn't figure it out, and then I was sitting here reading it because I was going to ask, and I was thinking, maybe it's mapping. I didn't even think of the word mapping, like, of all the words in here.
It's totally understandable because when you think, that's what, remember what I said before is how sometimes it's an English word in medical terminology and an English word in English, but it really means two different things, but it's kind of the same. It's they go into the brain and they actually, they do it digitally and electronically. They map the electronic impulses as they happen in the brain so they can figure out where the crossed wires are or whatever's not connecting with the other.
Okay, I was like, is it basal ganglia? Like, what am I supposed to look?
Now,
And then
basal ganglia is an anatomical part. in the
Yeah.
brain.
Okay.
Okay.
That's why I was like, what is this? And then when I kept rereading it while ago, and I was like, maybe it's mapping.
And maybe you're right.
Okay.
But of course, I can't tell you that. But I don't know. But I think you might be correct. Yes. Good job. Good question.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too.
You too.
Thanks. Good night, Nikita, Kenyatta,
Good night.
Caitlin, Akia. How do I say that? Help me. Akia? Akia?
You are 100% right, and probably the third person in my 32 years of life to get it right on the first try. It's Akia.
Really? Wow.
Really?
Yay.
Yes, ma'am. And
Nice to
noticed
have you
that
here.
I signed in.
Sorry?
I signed in Akia Evans, but Central Carolina has me under my maiden name, so I'll make sure to switch that next time so you know that it's me.
Okay, great.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm
Have
so
a good
glad
night.
you joined us.
Yes, ma'am.
Have a good evening.
Do the same. Bye-bye.
Bye.